get into is they want to go what Dave Chappelle said about Charlie Kirk.
Sure.
Let's go to that one. Can you play the clip about what Dave Chappelle said about Charlie Kirk? Here's Dave Chappelle. He said a lot of things this weekend. Go ahead and play this clip. Go ahead.
And the whites were quick to say this. They said, Charlie Kirk is this generation's Martin Luther King. That's a reach.
Saying that he's not MLK.
They both got murdered in a terrible fashion. They both got shot in the neck, but that's about where those similarities end.
Jeez.
Because Charlie Kirk is internet personality. No, by design. Fundamentally, he can't function like Dr. King. Internet niggas are negative because they have to be. Because nobody will engage them unless they say shit that makes them upset.
Yeah, just a crazy one, y'all. This one is a crazy one. I really hope y'all tune in, man. And, you know, this one's about Patrick Bet-David and his Valuetainment stooges being very disrespectful to the legacy of Martin Luther King, being upset about Dave Chappelle dismissing the notion that Charlie Kirk was an equal, even similar to a MLK. Well, PBD and his stooges takes it a bit further, as you'll soon realize. In the meantime, let's start the show.
If it's love, I want everything. Touch my soul, touch my heart, don't judge my mental. They told me that life is simple, been real since Papa Pimple. I started out in the Renault Sonata, the presidential. Speak once and listen twice. They told me that less is simple.
We say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
And it's the arrogant, dismissive nature towards any black great that people of the caucus share with one another when speaking on black history at large.
I was offered one time, they wanted, you know, the roast on Comedy Central. They wanted to do, and this is no diss to them, it's just they wanted to do a roast of historical figures. Like they do the drunken comedy thing with the presidents and stuff. They said, we want, you know, you play Malcolm X, right? And then they're roasting. I go, nah, I'm not doing that.
Hell no.
And they literally, my agents were like, what do you mean? I go, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, James Baldwin, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. I don't play games like that.
Off limits.
I said the reason why, and remember, I'm not foundational black American. I'm Nigerian. But my parents were able to come here because of the Civil Rights Bill off of Black American sweat. I said, I'm not playing that game where these guys took a bullet. All these guys that I mentioned took a bullet so that I could be here, so that we could all at least have some kind of freedoms. I was offered.
Patrick Bet is Iranian, but you know, he promotes himself, in my mind, as a sleazy car salesman, really wanting to be white so bad. That's a video for another day. So if you're tuned in, we're talking about Pat Bet-David and his Valuetainment stooges, once again topping the cake like I never thought they would. I mean, I knew that they were going into a realm where they can't get out of. And what I mean is, ever since their Netanyahu interview, I was like, yeah, these guys are definitely a waste of my time. Personally, it's just how they try to coddle a person who was the face of a genocide, and they basically handled him with kid gloves. But yet this Dave Chappelle special, they found that to be egregious in terms of Dave's take on Charlie. Let's check that out.
And the whites were quick to say this. They said, Charlie Kirk is this generation's Martin Luther King. No, he's not. Yeah, that's a reach. You know, they both got murdered in a terrible fashion. They both got shot in the neck, but that's about where those similarities end. Charlie Kirk is a motherfucking internet personality. No, by design. Fundamentally, he can't function like Dr. King. Internet niggas are negative because they have to be. Because nobody will engage them unless they say shit that makes them upset. That's Charlie Kirk. Could you imagine Dr. King was behaving like Charlie Kirk? Smash that like button and subscribe. Follow me for more content like this. I believe all black people should be free. Change my mind.
I find it weird that they addressed his comments about Charlie Kirk, but not other comments from this special. In the special, which premiered December 19th, Chappelle addressed the controversial claim. He basically spoke on Saudi Arabia, right? I didn't tell them to put this in the paper, says Chappelle. I just said it on stage. I said it's easier to talk in Saudi Arabia for me than it is in America. I mean, things like that, they didn't even touch on it. I stand 10 toes on basically, right, giving everything context. But when I watched the special myself, and this is just me personally, right, I was like, when I heard this whole Charlie Kirk and Dave Chappelle take going crazy, I'm like, okay. There wasn't even a word about the civil rights thing or pilots or Kentucky Brown Jackson. He just basically kept it about social influence. His joke was basically a comparison of public figures based purely on the apparatus which they used to communicate in their time period. And that's it. I want to play this video from PBD and his stooges, but I just want to say this before I drop the video. King spent his life battling for what he called the beloved community, a world of racial justice, material equality, and peace. He worked to tear down the forces that rip us apart and the systems that dominate the vulnerable. If I'm wrong, y'all tell me. Because see, his words inspired us to see the best in each other towards empathy and solidarity. Examples of his inspirational compassion and courage are too numerous for us to count. King died how he lived, fighting for the dignity of those under the boot of empire.
Came as an immigrant, somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant, somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
White America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma. America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet it refused to give its black peasants from Africa, who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years, any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps, but it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.
And envisioning a more and just beautiful world. That beloved community that I spoke of wasn't the same that Charlie was talking about, because yes, there are a few surface similarities. Both were political figures who were publicly executed while fighting for a cause. But are they both martyrs, heroes? I don't have to go out on a limb when I say no. The difference between them is as vast as the difference between heaven and hell, respectfully. Now, I know it's not polite to speak ill of the dead, but as conservatives attempt to paint Charlie Kirk as a martyr, we must examine the legacy he leaves, which provides a stark contrast. I mean, research it. It's that stark. Kirk poured fuel on fires of hate and discrimination. Consider his own final words. Kirk's debate partner continued during that college visit he was at, and his debate partner said, "Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?" Charlie said, "Counting or not counting gang violence." Let that sizzle for a second. Kirk's last word was violence. But there's even more going on in that statement. Gang violence is a dog whistle for young black men, employed to redirect the problem of mass shooters, which was what the question was about. And these are his normal tricks. On the subject of mass shooters, the majority of whom are white men. You could miss me with all the other stuff y'all want to bring to the table, and single out gang violence as a separate category. This is what Charlie does. See, this reinforces Kirk's narrative that black and brown people are the real danger, not structural problems in this country. I want to play the clip again by PBD, but I really want to focus on giving my insight, if you will, my commentary. And I really hope y'all wait to the end.
Oh, you did. Mm-hmm. But think about it.
You know what? I'm out of here, guys.
I just
go use your restroom. Go ahead.
I gotta go shoot outside.
No. By the way, him saying that he was internet and he was just spewing negative things. Charlie sat in front of college campuses and people all over the country and engaged because of their negative crap. He was the light. He was the positivity. So to compare, to say that, mind you, yeah, Martin Luther King, it was Martin Luther King. I get it. Civil rights and all that stuff. But to brush him off as some internet guy. And by the way, Dave Chappelle's another one of these guys that just has that victim mentality.
Yeah, and I mean, not only is he wrong about Kirk, but he's wrong about Martin Luther King too. He's paying Martin Luther King as if he walked on water and was holier than thou. Martin Luther King, not only he had like a ton of extramarital affairs where he was cheating on, he was alleged to have watched sexual assault take place. He was alleged to have done numerous plagiarism throughout his academic career. So like a lot of the stuff that he was saying and a lot of stuff that he had credit for, like might have been BS, and he wasn't the person he like painted himself as, you know, like where Kirk was like super Christian, super good guy. And you don't think if MLK was alive today, he'd be using the hell out of social media? Of course he would be. So
he'd be a live streaming machine.
Yeah, all day, every day,
playing video games and saying what he's saying. Yeah, he would be. But by the way, in my opinion, I want to go to the next story. My opinion, they both have a massive impact. Martin Luther King is a painting. I have a painting of him in my house that he's in. He's one of the only 8 characters in that painting that I have. But to me, Charlie Kirk is bigger than Martin Luther King. To me, Charlie Kirk is bigger than Martin Luther King. Charlie Kirk, there's 4,600 hours of him. There's only about 4,200 hours of MLK speaking. You talk about the personal life, even if you go watch some of his documentary, if you type in just type in Dead Mentors as the painting. That's what you got to type. If you go look at some of his documentaries and what he's done, Dead Mentors, not the Dude Romney, Dead Mentors.
Dude Romney.
There you go. That's a go to images and you'll see it. So no, but to me, Charlie Kirk, what he did is a lot tougher. Much bigger. I wouldn't say much tougher because MLK, what he did at his time was tough, but Charlie Kirk made a massive, massive impact. MLK, peaceful protest, the things that he did. Selma followed the story very closely, but I just think Charlie's legacy is going to be bigger long term than MLK's. My opinion. I think Charlie's legacy is going to be not 2 times, 100 times bigger than.
I don't know who the smug dude was, but you see him once, you see him all. He literally points out allegedly, yet he leans on it heavily to tarnish MLK's status to enhance Charlie's. Keep bringing up character assassination that's unproven, regardless what our opinions on the matter is, seems a bit weird to me. And shout out to Poetic Flacco for making this point. Check this out, y'all.
Ennis today.
Yeah.
Even if we concede the character issues, which we are not conceding it because, again, it has not been confirmed. But even if we want to concede the character issues, and trust me, I was somebody who once believed these things about MLK until I read up on J. Edgar Hoover and his literal obsession with MLK. But if we concede the character flaws, okay, what do the character flaws have to do with the work? What has Charlie Kirk done that can amount to the Civil Rights Act of 1965?
In the midst of all of this nonsense, I find it funny. The United States, a nation where most of its people, white, black, Hispanic, whatever, most of you put your weight on someone's expertise or validation and acknowledgement based off of their degrees. Charlie didn't go to college, and mind you, even with my own degrees, I don't think it makes me better than anyone. But I'm just saying, this is a nation where no one takes you serious unless, serious as an expert, right? Unless you have some type of credibility. When it comes to that, I'm saying a degree. Yet Martin Luther King went to Morehouse College at the age of 15 in 44, graduating 4 years later with a degree in sociology before moving on to seminary and pursuing his doctorate, which he had his doctorate. But my point is, see how money makes a lot of you more and more hypocritical. Funny, you could be a black man with all of the things you people, and when I say you people, America at large, tells you must have before we take you serious. For you to prove to us you are worthy to be in a arena of thought, i.e. meaning all of the debates. Yet Charlie gets to run around colleges. Nothing wrong with it. I think you should reach out to the young people, but that is his bread and butter.
So sometimes twins in the uterus, one twin absorbs the other. So when that twin that absorbed it is born, would you consider that twin, that child, that baby a murderer?
No, of course not. No, I mean, that's, no.
But that baby technically killed its
No, it
sibling.
didn't. What you're talking about, it happens the first couple days of human development where the two zygotes one might absorb the other. It's not taking out an axe and slitting the throat of the other.
Yet, Martin was already pursuing his degree at 15. And you want to compare and contrast. Let me tell y'all something. Kick rocks. I get it, as content creators, a lot of y'all, especially many of the major platforms, y'all be reaching for content. You want to rage bait. But if you understand a certain dismissiveness when it comes to race, you know how authentic that video was. This is how these fools really think. Regardless if they were catering to their Zionist fans, I'm gonna leave it there, right? Because I get it. They're bought and paid for. Clear as day. You don't believe me? Go back to that Netanyahu interview that Patrick conducted himself mostly. Kid gloves on. But I took Pat very serious. His stooges, not so much. I really tuned them out. But I took PBD very serious. And let me tell you, let someone talk enough, you'll see their real colors. This is the same, guy that appears like a sleazy car salesman who really wishes he was pure Anglo-Saxon. That's just me. You could argue with me another time, but I want to really get into this. Everyone talks about how amazing Charlie was. I'm not going to downplay his influence in today's time. But can we be honest? Charlie was going to places where he easily could have found doctorates to debate. Instead, he chose to debate glorified high schoolers, because most of those guys on the college campus were basically high schoolers. Let's just be honest here. He was a operative. And I say that with no apologies. He worked closely to power and knew he was being provocative to a group of people that can react unpredictably. And that's young people. Let's be honest. Great angle. The Myron Gaines of the world does it, and so many other YouTubers. They're not debating quote unquote intellectuals or people who are revered and who are notable. Guys like Charlie Kirk was going around. Yes, I do give credit in terms of got a lot of young people into politics, whether you agree with that or not. But there was no sophistication. I do find it comical that a lot of people leave that out when they talk about Charlie like he was out here cooking Albert Einstein's out here. I'm just saying. I want to conclude to make sure we understand the weak contrast that a few of you fools continue to do when comparing MLK and Charlie Kirk. If Charlie Kirk is like MLK because he spoke about politics, then Donald Trump is like Idi Amin because they're both presidents. That's foolish, man. At every turn, Kirk sided with the power structures, not the poor, while King emphasized our common humanity and appealed to our better natures. Kirk consistently reminded us of our differences, and he made sure to do it when it came to people that look like me, especially of the most vulnerable and marginalized populations. Oh, he had a field day with that category. With his last words, He basically was stereotyping black men. Kirk and King show us that there are two very, very different ways to die for a cause. You can die for resisting oppression or for reinforcing it, for standing up to hate or for stirring it up. In the end, the point is that Charlie Kirk deserved to go to a special place for people like him. And that's what I'm standing on. I was being strategically indifferent when I didn't cheer for his death, regardless of how much I really disliked his division. Because you have to be strategic with people like him, because what I said came true. I said, watch, all of you folks on the left who kept praising his death, you will unknowingly help this man become a martyr. Undeservingly, might I add. So I was strategically indifferent. I could care less for what happened to Charlie Kirk. And that's how I really feel. But I'm not going to come out here and spend time demeaning him, although he would with people that look like me. The point is that Charlie spent his life creating hell through division, scapegoating, and dehumanization. You don't have to take my words for it. Go look at that last video of him. His own words condemned him. But PBD, back to you, you sleazy car salesman. Guys like you rage baits very well. I know you're bought and paid for by your Zionist masters, but you could have at least did what Adam did. Adam is one of his co-hosts, and as he was trying to correct Pat quickly said, no, we got to go on to the next subject.
Simply because there's more stuff that's documented with Charlie than there was with MLK.
I don't know if Charlie's going to end up being bigger than MLK. Regardless, to me, MLK, Charlie Kirk, some of the greatest Americans to ever live. You only try to assassinate the people who are the people moving the needle. Abraham Lincoln, JFK, what they try to do to Trump, MLK. So I'm just saying, our friend Brandon over here basically only listed the negative about MLK.
Because I promise you, regardless of the machine and money behind Valuetainment, PBD that is, and his podcast, his words will echo for an eternity. For him daring to say Charlie Kirk will be bigger than MLK. And keep in mind, there are things about MLK I did not agree with, especially when it came to civil rights. But we're talking about a man that won a Nobel Prize. A man that's revered around the world. This is crazy that we even have to substantiate who MLK was, fearful of people diminishing his work because you are a Charlie Glazer and guzzler. I say no. I won't allow it. I will not allow it. And we got to start gatekeeping a little bit harder, because there are Uncle Toms running around here that will agree with a Patrick bet. I've seen y'all all throughout these social media streets. I just cannot be one of them.
And I'm going to lift up what Charlie stood for and what we all stand for, and that is the freedoms of America. That is free speech. That is going out and getting it. One thing that you guys may not know, some of you guys are new to this game. Charlie Kirk worked his butt off every day. He didn't just show up because he was just so brilliant. He worked. He believed. He fought for something. And I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity that Charlie had carried in your life to save this country.
I just want to give Officer Tatum a round of applause for sticking to the script and not breaking out in laughter, because he's another paid one of them. If you know, you know. Real quick, if you guys out there, if there's any of you that's out there portrays themselves like Officer Tatum, especially when it comes to a Charlie Kirk, I just want to say one thing. Nigga, get off your knees. Like, for real, get off your knees. Jesus Christ. I've never seen so many niggas on their knees in my life, bro. And I grew up in the 90s, bro. Y'all sick. Seriously. Somebody ain't give y'all a hug or made you really hate your skin, because it's like, get off your knees, please. Land my plane, folks. But I really hope that you're still here with me. And if you are at the end of this video, shout out to you, man. Don't forget to Spike Lee this joint. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to keep knocking out these bangers. But more than anything, man, I just hope y'all keep coming back. This was Gravitating Away on We Need a Reset TV, and we need to reset how we gatekeep our legends. Shout out to Dave Chappelle for doing so. Dave, by the way, quick note on this. Your stand-ups hasn't been the same as of late. That's just my personal opinions. But nonetheless, thank you for what you did. Even though, if I'm to be real, it really wasn't a lot. You didn't go as deep as I did about the whole Charlie Kirk MLK thing. But I think you did enough for us to spark an interesting conversation about how idiots really are trying to compare Charlie to Martin. It's insane. But I'm going to holler at y'all and catch me on the next one, folks.
Be proud of, don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.